Obviously, very satisfied with the effort down there. Disappointed that we didn't get the win. Going back and looking at the tape, it was a heck of an opportunity. We definitely had our chances out there, but it's hard to beat a really, really good football team in a venue like that. And in the end, they had enough to keep us out of the end zone and to keep us from scoring enough points to win the game. Based off of what's going on the internet, the big thing on the onside kick was not an onside kick. Okay, we were trying to kick the ball deep with a specialty kick, and the young man just mishit it. So that's the way it goes. There's a lot of other mistakes out there in the football field. One thing doesn't dictate a football game, and everybody's trying to do their best. So I'll open it up to questions.
Coach, what are you telling your team, going into the next game? I mean, it's the adage of, what do you learn from an experience like this? What can help you out of that, even though it was a loss, to move forward in the season when you play the Florida States and Clemson's and other ACC teams?
Well, it's a positive. I mean, you went into one of the toughest venues that there is to play a football game, and 5 minutes left, you were within 3 points of winning that game. And I think it's a tribute to where we've came from and how hard we're working. Now, we've taken hits. We're not going to be able to line up with the same guys. When you play teams like that, there's going to be injuries. And that's one of the things about making sure that you have a non-conference schedule you can navigate before you go into conference play, or to start your conference play a lot earlier like some other teams do, so you can play those conference games when you're healthy. But we're undefeated in the ACC. We're undefeated in the ACC Atlantic. We're playing a team that's in first place, and we have an opportunity to go out and try to win a football game, and we're excited about that.
Steven and Mark.
What do you mean by specialty kick? Pop it up, or?
Yep, really, really far and up.
So what it's supposed to be not a touchback?
No, when you talk about a touchback, we wanted the young man to feel the ball. He had no blocking, okay, so there's a chance he could drop the ball. There's a chance we can rip the ball out. There's a chance he could make a mistake. So instead of taking all those chances out and just kicking it out, we did want him to feel the ball. But it had to be really, really high and a lot deeper than what it was.
Gotcha.
Mark?
Coach, after the Middle Tennessee State game, you said your team didn't really handle the outside distractions. The way it handled, as you said, one of the toughest places to play in college football, the way the game started, the way it handled that, did your team prove anything to you?
Proved a lot. Leadership has really taken over. You can see it in the offense, the defense, and the kicking game. Even the conversations that you're having with young men at halftime before the games, locked in. There was some things that happened on the very last drive, obviously, when we didn't hold them. Some things that you guys can notice, some things you can't. But we had some guys out, we had some young guys in there, and they hit us in the right spot. And we had some young men who were playing very hard that made some mental mistakes. So that's all part of it. That's part of the family. That's part of the depth. That's part of the underbelly of the football team. That's part of the conditioning so that you can play your better guys as long as you possibly can, what kind of rotation you have. And there's a lot of stuff to that. But you talk about the effort of the entire 70 guys that went down there on the plane. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm excited where we're at.
Dino, whatever line there was between sports and politics kind of got blended a little bit over the weekend with President Trump and his comments, and then what happened yesterday in the NFL. I guess, first of all, just do you have a reaction to that? And then secondly, is it something you discuss with your team ever?
I don't have a reaction to it. And we talk about a lot of things with the team because the team is my second family. And, that stuff is just family stuff. And what they want to do outside the family is up to them. But inside the family, we hit a lot of topics. We talk about a lot of things. And I think that we'll keep that stuff in-house.
Hey, Coach, you've seen all sorts of sides of Eric Dungy's game over the last 2 years. Did you learn something about him at LSU that you previously didn't know about him?
I wouldn't say that. When you look at Eric, you see a supreme competitor, sometimes too competitive, for a quarterback, so to speak. But I remember, I don't watch a lot of pros, but I think Brett Favre was a lot like that in his early years, just super, super competitive, and you can see the outer energy of his competitiveness. And sometimes as a quarterback, you need to keep that in the inner and not the outer. But when you talk about Dungy and the way he performed Saturday, I mean, he gave us every opportunity to win, and I was really proud of his performance.
Nate? Talked a lot what areas or I guess trends did you look at to address going into year two?
The big thing was recruiting. You look around, you look at the teams that you have to beat, you look at what they have in what areas, and it really curves your thinking when you're looking at recruits. That can this young man, oh, he's a really good player, can he get big enough to do the things that we need him to do against the teams that we need to beat? And that's the big thing. If you're going to win a conference championship, you got to find a way to beat the conference leaders. And the conference leaders have certain style on defense and certain styles on offense. And as long as those coaches are in place, and normally the guys at the top, they're not worried about getting fired. They're normally in place for a long time. You can recruit to that, and you can gear your team that if that's their strength, where's their weakness? If that's their weakness, let's see if we can build our strength there, so at least we'll have an advantage when we go against them. So that's the big thing about going through the conference one time.
Seemed like the pressures you guys got against LSU was maybe your best all year. I'm curious, when you went back and watched tape, how much of that was the front four? How much of that was maybe introducing some new blitz lines? What do you kind of attribute to the success you guys had getting after?
It was a total defensive effort, and I thought it was a fantastic game. And see, here's the, I'm not going to say you guys don't see it, but I thought it was it was a fantastic game with our inside players. Our 1 and 3 techniques played an excitable game, and you may not see that in the box score, so to speak. But from a coach's standpoint, they were punching holes in that defense. And because there was separation on the inside, there was alleys for the linebackers to run through. That safety by Paris was a situation where a guy punched a hole in that thing. And now, even though the back was about to run it outside, Paris could run it down inside out. That's a very, very safe play to run on the goal line, yet they ended up with a safety. I mean, those kind of things happened. And I thought from a defensive standpoint, the inside players, the linebackers, along with the defensive line, played a very, very aggressive game. On the flip side of that, people are like, you look at the secondary and like, oh, we gave up those 3 long. You guys understand that those guys are back there on an island. We had 90 snaps on offense. I can't remember how many snaps the defense had. They're on an island every snap. For us to play like that on the front, they have to play man-to-man in the back. And I went back and checked that pass, the one that I said I had to be around 55 yards. It was 54 yards. Not that detail's important, and I would notice something like that the very first time. I'm like, 54 yards in the air, okay? And we run 40s to see how fast guys are. We don't run 50s to see how fast guys are. And if you watch like the last 14 yards of that run, it was just a matter whether the guy was going to catch the ball or not. There was really nothing else we could do. So I thought that defensively they played a really good game.
What makes the NC State front so effective, and how are you going to stop Bradley Chubb?
You start with him. He's really, really good. He's a fantastic player, fantastic pass rusher, thick. He plays the game the right way. I think he got in trouble and he had to apologize for something in the start of the game. I know what it is, but I'm not going to bring it up in the press conference. I mean, but that attitude is the way he plays the game. And you tie him in with the other 3 big guys that they have up in front and with those linebackers. Their front 7 is the real deal. I told you guys this in the spring. Oh, bologna cheese, the toughest schedule. I'm telling you, their front 7 is the real deal. And, they'll get mad. Their front 7 is so good. Their back end is good, but their front 7 is exceptional. And the more you try to do things into that front 7, you better be exactly right. Because if you're not, your success is going to be very, very limited.
Time for 2 more questions. Mark? Coach, you also talked a lot about belief without evidence when you got here. The way your team's playing right now, second half of the game before and then LSU, is this some of that evidence, and what does it say to you about the rest of the season?
Belief without evidence, having faith on things unseen. I think that we're playing well. The hard thing about our country and football that it always comes down to the W and L's. I know we're getting better, but I can't prove it in the box score. I can't prove it with the win and loss record, but we're a better football team, and this team would really get after the 2016 Syracuse football team. It would really get after that team. But the schedule may be so difficult, and the opponents we're playing, we may not be able to see that in W's and L's. We'll see. It's still a young season. It's only 1/4 of the way done, and we're in the same situation we were in 2016. We're 2-2. But We got 8 games left with an opportunity to play 9, and we're excited.
So you think you need wins to prove it? That's the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I think wins could prove it.
Last question, Matt.
Coach, the TV broadcast showed how excited the SU fans were at LSU when the game got down to crunch time. Could you guys feel, their support, and do you hope something like that carries over in the Cherry Dome?
You know, I got to thank the fans. Even after the game, I mean, I was, you know me, I'm not very emotional. So after the game, you know, they're, you know, good job, coach, good job, coach, good job, coach. And I recognized them, but I really need to do a much better job. They were fabulous during the game. You could actually hear them, which is kind of spooky for how big that stadium was. And when you walked around, even during the game, you saw orange. And how cool was that to see orange in the land of purple and gold? And I'll just leave it at that. But, I mean, you really could feel their presence in the stadium. And, you know, my hat's off to them. I thought it was really cool for the players. And I hope that the fans even though we didn't win the game, I hope they felt proud of the effort. And I appreciate them coming down there to support us.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.